Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Ladybug Farm. Today we are talking about plants that grow in the shade, because even in shady conditions, you can still enjoy a lovely harvest if you choose the right crops. First thing you have to do though, in order to know what to grow, what kind of sun do you get, is just to spend some time out in the space where you want to have your garden. And you need to ask some questions to yourself. Where does the sun rise? Where does the sun set? And that's going to be different depending on the season, whether it's spring, whether it's summer, whether it's fall. The sun's going to rise and set in different locations, casting different shadows onto your garden. Do you have shadows? Is there intense morning sun and full shadows in the afternoon? Or do you have dappled shade where that sun is intermittently coming between the leaves of your trees? Because that is also different. If you have a little bit of sun coming through intermittent dappled shade, you have a better chance of growing more than if you have intense sun for just an hour and shade the rest of the day. Also, is there a slope? Do you have a north-facing slope? Do you have a south-facing slope? So ask yourself those questions. Write it down if you need to. Keep a little garden journal and maybe keep track of the sun throughout the year as you continue to go, so that you know over time what plants you will be able to grow in your shaded space. Most vegetables are going to prefer 8 to 10 hours of sunlight, and some of them are still going to tolerate about 6, but that's not possible for everybody. So the solution is to grow shade tolerant plants. Now, before we even get into what varieties, remember I always look at the health of your soil first. So make sure that your soil is well prepared. If you want to push the envelope and try to grow things with less sun, you have to have good soil. So that means compost. That's part of your mix. And that also means that you're going to double dig your garden beds. Check around you in the surroundings. Do you have a black walnut tree? Because that also could have enzymes in the roots that are going to inhibit the germination of some of your plants. A forewarning on garden pests: slugs and snails are going to be your biggest pests. They will come in and decimate your lettuce because they just love damp, shady spaces. So visit your garden space daily to kind of keep those under control and have a plan in place so that you will know what to do once that becomes, or if that becomes, an issue. Hopefully it won't, but just be prepared for that. When you are considering what to grow in the shade, consider the leaves and consider the roots. Don't consider the fruits or the flowers. Those ones do require some more sunlight. So in little as 2 hours of sunlight, you can grow your Asian greens, your tatsoi, your bok choy. In 3 to 4 hours of sunlight, you can get your lettuce. You can get your kale. You can get your spinach. You can grow your culinary herbs, most culinary herbs, and you can grow your arugula. Depending again on the season it is for you, those are some things to consider. You can also grow Swiss chard. And the thing about 3 to 4 hours of sunlight with Swiss chard is that you're going to get a smaller, tender leaf. If you're used to your Swiss chard being nice and big and crunchy, you're going to need about 5 hours of sunlight. But for these tasty little greens, or reds, not necessarily greens or yellows or pinks that Swiss chard come in, you can get that in as little as 3 to 4 hours of sunlight. So with all of these things, just try it and see. You never know what's going to happen. What works for you might be different than what works for me, because there's so many other factors going into the growth of a healthy plant. So over the years, you will find what works for you in your shade and use it as an opportunity. Kind of see it as a challenge that you're going to overcome, and I bet eventually You're going to get plenty of nutritious greens in your shady spot. Happy planting, everybody.